Robbo has done his top 50. I don't really have time for a top 50, guys. It's just going to be my top 10 players before the 2023 season gets underway. Now, just a couple of stipulations before we get into the list. Availability is going to be a part of the list, okay? So a couple of guys who might have been injured a little bit over the last season or two are taken into account, and I'll explain that more when we get to the number 10 pick, because deciding between about 8 players, I went with one of them for a very specific reason, maybe over the guy who might deserve it a little bit more, but I'll talk about that in just a tick. And the second thing, this has got nothing to do with careers, okay? So, yes, Dusty and Nat Fyfe are both absolute champions of the game. They're not on the list, okay? They've hardly gotten on the park for different reasons. They're not on the list. So however you want to deal with that is fine. But if you want current players' ranking of their careers, that could be a different video. But they're not here. Okay, so that's the way that it is. Also in the intro, you can check out the Supercoach Classic code, which in my last video, I gave it out incorrectly. I put an extra 8 instead of an extra 7, but it's all cleared up in this one. I promise you, let's get into it. The top 10 current AFL players pre-2023.
Wrong side for him, hooks it. Oh! Sensational!
Number 10, Andrew Brayshaw. I genuinely was going to put Sam Walsh in this spot, but given that the two-way midfielders are in absolute vogue right now, I went with the one that is just going to be playing more. Sorry, Walshy. It's just the straw that made me pick, okay? If you think Walsh deserves to be here, I'm probably not going to argue with you that much at all. I probably won't even argue at all. I love them both, but the fact that Andy B is probably going to play 20-plus games this year without a doubt, Sam Walsh is going to struggle to do that. Sam Walsh did miss a little bit of time last year as well. I am just going with the two-way midfielder that's going to be on the park. I do have a little bit of a qualm with Andy B's field kicking, but fourth in the Brownlow last year, loves the contested ball, loves the uncontested ball. His work defensively goes under the radar so much by fans who don't watch him anywhere near enough. He doesn't get the same amount of praise like a Sam Walsh does. And yes, sorry Victorians, I am also one. It is because the media just don't watch enough Fremantle games. He is my number 10, a very comfortable for my number 10, and in my opinion, a future Brownlow medalist. Number 9, Charlie Kernahan. If I was going to expand this list, the gap between he and Harry Mackay is not going to be like Robbo's 1 and I think 42 or 43 that Harry ended up. I do think Harry is in the scope of 13 to 16 on this list. The guy was the Coleman medalist 2 years ago and still had a good year last year. I don't understand why there's all of a sudden the Charlie Kernahan hype is as high as it is, and it absolutely deserves to be so. Number 1 at the end of the year. Okay, it's a speculative pick. I'm not really going to comment on that too much. But did we all just forget how good Harry Mackay has become in the last 2 years? Like, did that just vanish? I don't understand. The dude's a star. So, Harry, you can be my number 13 in this case. But Charlie, number 9, the athletic prowess, the rawness, all the good things that you love about footy as a modern forward, Charlie Kernahan can do. He is so clean below his knees. Again, fingers crossed for some availability. He did get better availability last year. That's what enabled him to win the Coleman. He's got as good a chance as any to go back-to-back. Now, he wasn't my pick in the preseason, but it's not like I'm going to be blown down with a feather if he wins it again. He is one of the 10 best players in the competition. 1 at this point in time is ludicrous, which I know is not the point of Robbo's list, but he still makes the top 10. A very handy number 9 indeed, and one of the best looking dudes on the planet too, which is just unfair for someone that looks like this. So Charlie Kernahan is number 9. Number 8, Turk Miller, the best two-way midfielder in the competition. His ability to work offensively and defensively just makes him a star. Pretty stiff in the Brownlow last year. I genuinely thought he might have caught Cripper. Not that Cripper didn't deserve the award on his talent alone. He didn't deserve it for reasons that we all know about, but it wasn't on his talent alone last year. Turk in and of itself looks genuinely fit this year. Yes, the hamstring niggle, you might say, why is he and Walsh isn't? Again, I don't really have a counter argument here. I would, at this point in time, take Miller over Walsh right now. Okay, that is subject to change. That's the cause of opinion, but I'm taking Turk right now. His ability to get back into a defensive 50 as hard as he does pushing inside 50. Now, whether he's scoring or not the greatest of goal kickers, not a goal-kicking mid, you would say, but his ability to get from contest to contest, regardless of where the ball up or throw in comes from, in my mind, is just simply extraordinary. He's kind of one of those players you wish could have a camera on him the whole time and you could just watch the footage of him. And his work rate is simply astounding, a more than comfortable number 8 for me. Turk's a star, and I was very happy to pick him up in my Dynasty draft, which didn't take place all that long ago. So, the big Turk man, one of my favourites. Number 7, Tom Stewart. No one in this competition, no one, reads the ball better in the air. That's just a fact. And I'm a Hawthorn fan. James Sicily is on my team. Darcy Moore does exist. The guy you're probably thinking of that I haven't mentioned, he exists too. It's a simple fact. Whether it's neutralising a contest, not going to ground, or of course taking that grab, Tom Stewart is an A-grader or better in all facets of being a defender. He's the best all-round defender in the competition. You can dispute that, but I am going to die on that hill. I think we are just seeing a fantastic prime from him, but to leave him off or to think that he's not the best defender in the competition for mine is just something that I'll never agree to. He is the number 1, is big Tommy S, and he sits really comfortably in the back half of the top 5 for me. Number 6, the Brownlow medalist, Paddy Crips. He's just won the Brownlow Days. Why are you doing this? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, he didn't win the Coaches Award. So that does get taken into consideration a little bit, in my opinion. Is the Brownlow the be-all and end-all? Well, you could argue yes, even as someone that's developed their own Brownlow algorithm, which for only the first time last year didn't predict the winner. And, 5 out of 6, I'll still take that. But Cripper did come along, have a season best year, and won the Brownlow that, in all honesty, I genuinely believe that he would never win. I honestly thought Sam Walsh was closer to a Brownlow than Cripper was. Was he ever going to get back to his best? And he proved us all wrong in spades. However, his ball use over a short distance for mine still holds him back a touch. I really hope that he can stay injury-free again. And probably from 6 to 1, I think the 6 players are the 6 best players in the league. Obviously, it's why it's my list. But I'm not really here to debate the order. I love the fact that you guys disagree, and comment below, let me know everything that I get right and wrong, by all means, but I won't be joining you in the comments going, oh, you think this guy's 6, well, he should be 4th, yada, yada, yada. It's not that big of a deal. But when I see the 5 guys ahead of him, I can't put him any higher on my list. He could be higher on your list, and that's why I want you to tell me. He can't get any higher on my list at this point in time. Number 5, Christian Petracca. Oh, I love me a goal-kicking mid, and Petracca certainly is that. His Norm Smith medal performance was outstanding. He's only getting better and better and better. Now, he and his teammate, who hasn't featured on the list yet, but trust me, he does, are going to continually take votes off each other, so I think it's highly unlikely that Petracca ever wins something like a Brownlow. But to dead set be one of the best players in the competition, not only is he already there, he does have the potential to get to number 1. He really does. Now, the way that Melbourne play and the fact that premierships are obviously the end goal, I'm not really sure he needs to be the best player in the competition. But if he and that bloke that you're both thinking of are 2 of the best 5 players in the competition, Melbourne automatically have the best midfield. Because whoever that third is either going to be the decoy or the distributor to 2 of the best players in the competition. But his explosive pace, his long kicking, how do you not love Christian Petracca when he plays the game? He fits quite nicely at number 5 for mine. And the only difference for mine between 5 and 4, now 4 is a completely different player, but the one thing that I think stands in the way is experience and footy IQ, and even then, it's only a little difference. Top 5 player in the competition, anyone in the league, in my opinion, would take that, absolutely. And in this case, my number 5 is the man known as Track. Number 4, Lachie Neale, one of the smartest footballers in the last 15 years. He just is. The quickness of his hands, his ability to get from contest to contest, both in and out of the contest as well. And as we saw a couple of times in his Brownlow year and last year, think of the Bombers at Marvel Stadium, his ability to hit the scoreboard and his score involvements as well are leading to more and more scores. Now that he's taken on the captaincy, that footy IQ back again, I do think he is the kind of guy that can take Brisbane to the next level. I don't really understand the Harris Andrews Neil co-captaincy thing. I think it's just Neil on his own. We'll wait and see how that goes. But he's just one of the best players in the competition. What can you say? 4 both feels perfect and even still too low. But putting the list together, that's just where he falls. Lachie Neale is a genuine star. A genuine star of the AFL. I love watching him play, even when he's tearing up my team, which he's done on more than one occasion. Number 3, Jeremy Cameron. His ability to take a pack mark, kick around the corner, his set shot, his long goal kicking, his fitness up and back, his delivery inside 50 is just awesome. If it wasn't for a bloke called Buddy, we would be talking about Jeremy Cameron as one of the best tall forwards to deliver the ball inside 50 we've ever seen. And ironically, just like Bud, both of them can go really haywire from a set shot if it's a drop punt. But Jezzo has obviously worked on that. He's won a Coleman medal with the Giants, as we know. He's seemingly getting better with age. And he told Rush Hour that footy's probably the 4th most important thing in his life. And for the way that he plays, I don't really blame him at all. He doesn't get inside his own head too much. He's able to be natural. The flow of the game comes to him very easily. And, I mean, come on. How are you not having Jeremy Cameron in the upper echelons of the best players in the competition? I would take Jeremy Cameron over most midfielders in the competition for what he provides in the forward half, and I would take him over everyone in the competition, but who? He's a star. What more can you say? 2, Clayton Oliver. Here's the guy that I was talking to you about before. The man was tied for the Coaches Association Player of the Year last year, Clary. He moves the ball beautifully. He's a much better user by foot than he was even 2 years ago. Even in that premiership year, he did tidy it up a little bit, by all means. But even before then, he was horrific by foot. He's not horrific by foot at all. Now, he's not perfect, but given the way he's able to go get from contest to contest, the way that he is able to distribute the ball out. But what's more impressive for mine is his ability late in games to break tackles, find space, and get Melbourne into good positions forward of the contest is outstanding. Genuinely outstanding. And honestly, picking between he and my number 1 player in the competition was so difficult. The thing that broke it apart, even though they are different players, different kind of midfielders, half a spoiler there, Clary's goal scoring was the only thing that didn't have him number 1 for me. Everything else he does is A+ or better, and there's not much better than A+. Alright, so if he can kick more goals, he might get to number 1. Wins a Brownlow, probably gets to number 1, although you could argue with Crips winning the Brownlow, he didn't make my number 1 either. But for my mind, Clary is the second best player in the competition, and there's hardly a bloke I like watching more. And number 1, Marcus Bontempelli. The bloke's 192 centimetres. I think he's actually bigger than that now. He's a goal-kicking mid. He's got good leadership, a great leadership if you talk to the guys at the Bulldogs. Long, powerful kick, that eloping gait. He's just... What more can you want from the Bont with his career so far? The flag, yes, I know, career's got nothing to do with it, but he's won the flag. He's won all these best and fairest. He's the best player at the Bulldogs, and with Dunkley and Lachie Hunter gone, he is a midfielder. He needs to be that midfielder always. He is the non-negotiable. Tom Liberatore can go to a half-forward flank before the Bont does. This is not a park him inside 50 and he can kick goals. And the Bulldogs know that because they've got like 9 key forwards now. Is a slight exaggeration. He's just the best player in the comp. I'm sorry. All the reasons almost sound like insecurity in the choice at this point. Watch him play. We all have. He's the best player in the league for mine. He just is. So that's it. They're my 10 players right there. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to join the Supercoach League, it is there. If you're watching this and the league is already full, you can check the comments down below. I'm only having one more league. 2 leagues of 20. If you've already joined one, please don't join the other. We want to try and get as many unique teams in there as possible. I've got an awesome video coming for you on Monday, which, by the way, is when Big Dazzling will be turning 25. Holy shit. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait for the footy to start. Plenty of awesome stuff coming on Daz Talks Footy. What a 2023 it is going to be. So stay safe, guys. Take it easy. Enjoy your long weekend if you're in Victoria. And most of all, goodbye.